And she is somebody who makes sobriety interesting and fun. Loves reaching out to newcomers and making them laugh and feel welcome and in the right place. And just amazing. And I love spending all the time that I get to spend with you.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Tami, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Tami.
My sobriety date is June 2nd, 2023. However, that wasn't the first time I was in this program. My previous sobriety date was 2408. So that's right, 2804, sorry, in February. Anyway, I had 16 years prior to me coming back. And I went out during COVID, and I know what I did. I definitely had a resentment against my home group. And then COVID hit, and I had a resentment against being locked down longer than 2 weeks. I was ready for 2 weeks, but not past that. So I was just kind of not spiritually fit. And I relapsed with a girlfriend in the program who, anyway, I would just say that I was defenseless against that first drink. And so that was that. That was then. I would say what I did different this time was last time I stayed away 4 years from doing my 4th step. I just had suspicions of would I really be accepted, and should I tell all this stuff. And so it took me a while to get a sponsor. I had 20 sponsors before I found that I could say, and then I don't think I told them everything. So that was, at 16 years I stayed sober, and I mostly did that on 1, 2, and 3. So I always said the 3rd step prayer, but I didn't fully, I would say I didn't fully concede to my innermost self that I was alcoholic. I just wanted to have fun. So I still just wanted to have fun. And I went to a lot of conferences, and I had fun with the, gals in AA. And this is what it was like, right? With some time. The thing that got me in that time was being in a blackout and being arrested and not knowing that I was arrested. So was charged with disorderly conduct, public intoxication, and interfering with duties of an officer. And that was not who I was. I was in school at the time, and the counselors in the town had suggested to me, it was the community services, asked me, do you want to go to a place that'll teach you how to drink so that you don't have to be sick anymore and get arrested and, have blackouts or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I want to go to that place. And it was actually a treatment center. And when I went to that place, I'll say that was the first time that I had hope. I never had hope before. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And so kind of a light came on that there's a solution. And I didn't know I was alcoholic. It never even crossed my mind that it was the alcohol that was having, I would be ending up in all these different situations that weren't what I thought I would be when I grew up. But anyway, so I was in the program. This time, I would say, I came back after being out for 3 years. I came back June 2nd, of course, 23. And this time, what happened, what led me up to this time was the first year of my relapse, I drank a couple times. Nothing happened. And the second year, I drank a little more. But the third year, that obsession came. That total. All I remember when I knew something was not right was about between 9 and 10 in the morning. I'd be driving to work, and I would just think, when's a good time to drink? When can I have a drink? Is noon too early? Is 1 o'clock too early? And I remember when I was in treatment having them tell me that normal people don't think about alcohol like that. Like it's something like there's a relationship with it, and that you want to have it, even though the consequences of sometimes over drinking aren't very good. And I thought about that, and so during that time, was trying to help a sister of mine who had seizures and couldn't drive and wasn't to be alone at home. And so I was going to help her, and we took her to Virginia Mason, and she had an MRI and stuff. And on the way back home, she asked me if we were taking a ferry back home. I live in Kitsap County now, and she pulled out this infused cigarette and asked me if I wanted a puff, and I said yeah. So she had a puff, I had a puff. Anyway, I had my second puff and hallucinated. I couldn't see the road. All the lights from the cars just turned to little polka dots everywhere. And I told her I can't drive. She had to drive. And I thought, oh, this is not good. She shouldn't be driving. She's not supposed to be driving. Or so she took the car, and we got on the ferry. And when I was in the ferry line, on the ferry, I just laid my seat back in the car, and I just thought to myself, you're useless. You're useless to yourself, to my sister. What am I doing? And then I thought about that little pop of AA, when they say what, a belly full of booze and a head full of AA, it's not a good combination. But I just thought, yeah, I remember those guys telling me, maybe I shouldn't drink, maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe I shouldn't do these substances that change my mood, or like I totally hallucinated. So I was like a blackout, but because I couldn't see the road, and especially feeling that feeling of uselessness, and I thought this isn't how I wanted my life to be. So when we got back, of course I didn't quit right away, but I did make a decision. I need to quit, because if I'm going to try to help anybody, I need to help myself, right? But when you're on the airplane, and they tell you, to put your oxygen mask on first, and then you can help the person next to you. And that's all I could think of was, I need to get my oxygen mask on. I need to get clean and sober before I can help anyone else and help myself. So I came into the rooms, and this time I would say what I did different was a complete surrender and admitting to myself, that innermost, self, that I was an alcoholic. So I conceded to my innermost self, and I believed that old ideas had to be smashed with my relationship with alcohol and substances. And I knew when they talk about this being a disease, and they always says dis-ease, restless, irritable, discontent. And I thought, yeah, that sounds, and I didn't understand the full seriousness of what this is like. And I do seriously believe it is a mental illness. It's how I see the world. And I've since doing the steps, and I've done a 4-step with my sponsor, and I believe I've shared everything. And then the fifth, when we did the 5th step, I did the 4th step. When we did the 5th step, that made me feel so different, because I don't remember feeling this feeling of belonging to this program. And so when I came back into the meetings, I was so excited about being a member, like I felt I'm a member of this. I love this group. I felt free, because I felt not judged, which I loved about the relationship that I have with her. Is I feel like my higher power does work through her, and in terms of just accepting me for who I am, and wanting the best for me. So she wants me to, do more work. Anyway, so we're going through again. But all I would say, what I've learned this time is, when I'm studying what this program is about, and I'm looking at the steps, and then hearing people talk about the principles behind the steps. And step 1 is honesty. Having that full honesty and admitting that, I can't drink, and that I need help. Basically, and then step 2 is the hope, knowing that there's a solution. That's huge. That was huge for me. And step 3 is faith. I know she helped me with, when I was writing my 4 steps. She always told me, Tami, replace fear with faith. Just your higher powers here. Just replace that fear that you have with faith. Just remember that you're in good hands. You're okay. We're safe. You're in a safe place. people that care about you, and just so I was able to have faith to do the 4th step. And I would say that, when they talk about the principle on that, that's courage. Step 5 is integrity, being honest with another human being. And I believe step 5 was huge with my honesty, with really being honest and sharing openly, and trusting my higher power, that my higher power is in charge, and whatever happens is supposed to happen. So, and then step 6, humility, to want those character defects removed. After I did step 5, I would say that my character defects just came up like that, right in my face, just right, bright. And I was like, oh my God, this is what's blocking me, right, from the sunlight of the Spirit. This is what's blocking me from having a relationship with you guys, and so I kind of like, I need to go back to the steps. But step 7 is, of course, humility, right? Willingness, humility. And then 8, I believe, is brotherly love, that I want to be able to connect with another human being. So that was the other thing that got me in the program. They say in the 4th step, it says one of the primary characteristics of an alcoholic is the inability to form a true partnership with another human being. And that was me. That was totally me. I just wouldn't let anyone in. And the trust, I just didn't have a lot of trust for anything. But, understanding that I wanted desperately to have a true partnership with my family to be able to help them, and I would say coming to these rooms, and when we share in these rooms, one of the things that's helping me a lot is to be able to listen. So I have brought that in with my family, to be able to just really be quiet and listen to really what they're saying and what they need. And it's not always perfect, because the feelings are, we can push buttons really easy. And I don't have that thick skin. Everyone says, get the thick skin. I still have that really thin skin, but it's, it's a process, right? I would say it's a process. And so I did make some amends in step 9. I don't know if they're fully, I don't know. It just comes and goes. I would just say the ebb and flow of how those relationships go. But I know that I trust the higher power, and that we're supposed to be exactly where we're at, right now. Step 10, I'm not sure about, because the continuing, right? Continuing to pray, and when I'm wrong, admit it right away. So, okay, step 9 is the principles, discipline and justice. Step 10 is perseverance and vigilance. These are the principles. And then, of course, step 11 is the spiritual awakening. And then step 12 is, being able to show up, I would think, for coming into the meetings. And for me, the reduction of the ego is to understand that it's not about me. When I come into these rooms, it's about the newcomer. And I do love meeting new people, and I love bringing them to the meetings. And when I get kind of twisted up or get caught in my ego or whatever, I reach out, and I'll find a newcomer and bring them to a meeting. Or I don't know how to explain. You guys all know what we go through on a daily basis. If it's like, you're not supposed to act like that, or it's not supposed to come out like that, and then it does, or else I'm letting somebody really tell me what they really think, and then I'm letting them, because I want to be aware of what I'm doing wrong, right? And then I'll get kind of hurt, and when all that gets a little whatever, I don't know, spun up, whatever, then I'll run and find a newcomer and bring them to a meeting, and instantly I feel better. I just feel so much better, like, it's not about me, Tami. Quit trying to, make this about you. And so it's, we're all in this world, and we're all part of the human race. And, I'm learning so much. I would say that I'm becoming more open-minded with where exactly my higher power is. And I believe that he is in everything, or, she is in everything. It's everywhere. God is everything. And I do believe that. And I'm looking forward to more growth and, more maturity and what this program has to offer. So thank you guys for asking me for the suspect that I am. But yeah, I belong here. Thank you guys. Thanks for my sobriety.